We know that India and Namibia have signed 5 agreements. Can you share some more details in regards to what these agreements are about?
Yeah, sure. I don't think we should perhaps get too excited about the word agreements. I think most of them were MOUs, memorandums of understanding, on things like defence, visa exemptions for officials, cooperation in mining and geology, and also civil nuclear cooperation. And I think that's the one that's really got all the public attention.
Talking about the civilian nuclear cooperation, we know that since the lifting of the embargo by the NSG last September, India has concluded similar uranium agreements with the United States, Russia, France, Kazakhstan. How much is the deal worth in terms of contribution to the Namibian economy?
Yeah, I think at this stage it's very difficult to say. I think clearly what we're seeing is the meeting of two countries' interests. Namibia is going through something of a uranium boom at the moment. We've shot up to 4th in the world in terms of production. And India, of course, is massively expanding its civilian nuclear generating capacity. So they're obviously looking around for sources of uranium. And, of course, Namibia can provide. At the moment, no commercial agreement has been signed, and of course most of the uranium exploration and production work in Namibia is done by big multinational companies such as Rio Tinto.
However, we're under the understanding that India is also in negotiations with Niger, for example, and some say this is sending a clear message to the rest of the world that India is saying we are serious about doing business in Africa.
I think that's right. I think, as you said, India's now got this waiver from the Nuclear Suppliers Group, and its international position as far as civilian nuclear work is concerned is clear. I think that allows Namibia to do a lot more business with it, and I think it serves Namibia's purposes as well. We could be the world's number 2 or 3 largest uranium producer in the next few years, and of course we're looking to diversify our markets too. So I really think there's a meeting of interests here.
Talking about a meeting of interest, these MOUs, what would they translate to for Namibia particularly? We understand that India has this huge appetite for uranium, for example. However, what is in it for Namibia particularly?
Yeah, well, I think there's obviously the direct benefit of selling uranium to a country like India, which would require pretty large quantities of uranium. And then I think Namibia is also hoping to gain additional benefits in the form of nuclear technology and skills and training. Namibia has been talking in the past few years about developing its own nuclear capacity. We don't have any at the moment, but we have uranium, and I think government's very keen to pursue this. It's been talking with a number of players, including the French. The CEO of Areva, France's nuclear energy giant, was here just a few months ago talking about the same sorts of things, and I think government's slowly starting to put its money where its mouth is and to try and get this whole business up and running, because of course it's a long-term business. It will take us 20 or 30 years to develop the sort of capacity that would allow us to run our own nuclear industry.
And talking about your own nuclear industry in Namibia, apparently the deadline is 2018. Are these part of the initiatives to bring the government closer to realizing the full potential of basically generating your own nuclear power?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a very tentative target at the moment. I think one lesson Namibia has learned from the past is that we can't be as dependent as we have been on other generators of electricity, specifically South Africa. We've been caught rather short there. Our economy is growing relatively fast and electricity demand has picked up. We haven't kept pace in terms of generating capacity. So we're looking for new ways to add to the mix of our generating capacity, not just hydro, not just imports, but also civilian nuclear capacity. And that's obviously a long-term undertaking. I think 2018 is probably a little ambitious at this stage, but you never know.